White House, the shooting and all that, but like the fan art section, we need to get into that first. So Gideon says, I misread the original thumbnail. Apologies to the thumbnail creators and artists. So I make all the thumbnails for the Magic channel, but the artists who originally made the thumbnail images, like these ones are the emotes from Vaquessa. So you're apologizing to me and Vaquessa. Gideon tells you got to this one fast? Well, yeah, because we caught up on all the fan art. We caught up on everything. Budget-minded crabs. So many crabs. Thank you, Gideon. Okay, with that said, if you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about what happened recently with the White House. So, okay. We had a shooting happen at the White House involving the National Guard. So an Afghan man was accused of shooting 2 National Guards, and he'll face first-degree murder charges for an attack that prompted President Donald Trump to declare that he would freeze migration from third world countries to the United States. So we've been having an increase in conversations about immigration in the United States already. And now we're just getting a iron boot thrown on the entire debacle, period. Trump is saying that we are not going to be taking anybody in the U.S. at all. I actually already did a video, though it's not been uploaded yet, about the population statistics for Afghan people who have come into the United States, how many of them have actually been terroristic threats, and all that fun stuff. So if that video is out by the time I'm doing this video, then hopefully KFox will show the thumbnail for that on screen, and there will be a link to that in the description. But that said, I can go ahead and tell you what the stats show. So of the 180,000 people that we've brought in from Afghanistan, 55 were deemed to be possible terroristic threats. That's already not a large amount in general. But of those 55, 46 were actually proven, well, as proven as you can be with an FBI investigation, but 46 of which were proven to not actually be threats to American security. And as such, the number has deflated to only 9. 9 people with connections to terrorist cells or anything like that in the United States. That's a margin for error that damn near anybody would say is perfectly okay. And when you look at the why did I just get BattleNet popping up? Is it because RuneScape's in the background? Is Blizzard upset that I'm not on hardcore WoW right now? Is that what's going on? Anyway, when you look at the actual population statistics, immigrants don't really do more crime than the average US citizen. They actually do less crime. And when you look at the Afghan immigrants especially, the numbers do not lean in the favor of trying to ban everybody from immigrating to the country. That said, let's see what else is going on here. U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Jean Pirro, said on Friday that there will be other changes as well as other charges against the 29-year-old Ramanallah Lockenwall, who she said ambushed the National Guardsman from West Virginia near the White House on Wednesday. What happened at that crime is unmistakable. It is a premeditated murder, Pirro told Fox News on the Fox and Friends program. We are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree. Okay, fair. Yeah, if you try to shoot somebody, that's not fucking assault anymore. That is an attempt on their life. I would even argue aiming a gun at somebody is an attempt on their life, but some people may try to argue against me on that one. So it's good that he's being charged, period. That is not a thing that we should tolerate in the United States, is people engaging in this kind of violence against our military members. There is an argument to be made for self-defense. This is not that. This does not appear to be that in any way, shape, or form. Sarah Beckstorm, who is 20, died of her wounds on Thursday. Pirro told Fox that Beckstorm's fellow guardsman Andrew Wolf was in critical condition. On his Truth Social platform late Thursday, Trump escalated his rhetoric on immigration. Since taking office this year, he has stepped up arrests of immigrants in the U.S. illegally, cracked down on unlawful border crossings, and stripped legal status from hundreds of thousands of people. So that's the one that I have major problems with. Like, obviously, everything ICE is doing is generally fucking bad, but stripping legal status of people who have done nothing to lose legal status in the United States is wild to me. And it kind of showcases that cruelty for a lot of people is just the fucking point. Also, Axo, I didn't catch this when it happened, but I see it now. Thank you for redeeming your points for an OWL. If somebody has their legal status in the United States, they are legally a U.S. citizen or they are legally allowed to be here, stripping them of that status does nothing but showcase that we actually do not take in people who we have the ability to help as a nation. It doesn't show anything positive for us as a people. So Trump says that he will permanently pause immigration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all the millions of Biden illegal admissions. But if they're from the previous president, how are they illegal? Like, aren't you the one that specifically wanted the Supreme Court to argue in your favor, like even in favor of political assassinations, that if the president does something and it's considered an official act, then that's a perfectly legal thing for him to do? Like, none of those things can be illegal if Biden officially did them. Your Supreme Court that you appointed said that. 3 conservative judges from before your time and 3 conservative judges that you put on the fucking roster all said that it would be okay for you to assassinate someone if you deemed it necessary and within your political power. And the people who get to judge whether or not you get to do that are, you know, the people you put in power in the first place. They're not going to fucking prosecute you. They're going to be happy you made them millionaires. After taking office in 2021, Biden reversed many of Trump's restrictive immigration policies from his first term, saying that they blocked people in need of humanitarian aid. Trump did not name any countries. Asked about third world countries, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on Friday referred Reuters to 19 countries listed in the June travel ban. Earlier, Homeland Security officials had said that Trump ordered a widespread review of asylum cases approved under the Biden administration and green cards issued to citizens of the 19 countries, which included Afghanistan. So again, the numbers for Afghanistan specifically, and just see if I actually have the source. I believe I still have the source from when I covered this in a previous video. Oh, here we go. Here's the audit from the FBI. Here's the one I was looking for specifically. All right. So I remember this one. TSC was able to use its existing process for screening individuals seeking to enter the United States. Their review of the screenings indicated that there were 55 Afghan evacuees as of May 2023 who were either already on the terrorist watch list but still made it to a U.S. port of entry as part of the evacuation, or were added to the watch list during the evacuation and resettlement of the resettlement in the United States. As described through this report, each of these cases, we determined that the FBI notified the appropriate external agencies, all that fun stuff. But as of July 2024, they found that 9 of the evacuees actually remained on the watch list, and they were being tracked as appropriate. The remaining 46 were removed from the government watch list for a variety of reasons, which included a determination by the FBI that these individuals were no longer considered a threat to the United States. So, this information comes from the Trump administration, an audit from within it from June of this year. You know what that means? That means that even as Trump tries to argue that illegal immigrants bad, this, that, and the other, data is not on his side. Yes, we have had an incident that is a terrible, terrible tragedy where one of those immigrants attacked somebody from the National Guard, and that should have never happened. But a sweeping ban on people coming in from Afghanistan? The numbers don't show that that's going to impact jack shit. Because if 9 people out of 180,000, if that's your margin for how many of these people are terroristic threats, then you're going to find just as many terroristic threats in the United States population at large without even having to do much research or any, like, that's going to be a no effort thing to find those people in the United States. I do not know personally what the rate, like what the amount of United States citizens who find themselves on an FBI watch list are per capita. But I would think that 9 in 180,000 isn't the worst thing in the world. But let me just check here. Okay, so I did some quick math, and it turns out that by the FBI statistics, granted this is AI overview, bear in mind that could be inaccurate, but 1 in 71,000 United States citizens are on an FBI watch list. Now, granted, that's not the entirety of the database. That's just a bit of the database that we are aware of, and that's from 2017. So these numbers are likely very inaccurate. So 1 in 71,000. Okay, the question then becomes, if there's 180,000 Afghan immigrants, we divide that by 71,000, and okay. So that means that technically, by the numbers, there are 3 times as many people who are Afghan immigrants in the United States who are still on the FBI watch list versus the amount of people that we know right now are on the watch list who are United States citizens. That sounds like a lot, but then when you look at the raw numbers, the numbers are 3 versus 9. This is what happens when somebody says you're 3 times more likely to get cancer if you do a thing. And then you ask them, well, what's the chance that I'm going to get cancer normally? And you say, oh, about 0.00003% chance of getting cancer. Oh, cool. Well, if we multiply that by 3, then I have a 0.0009% chance of getting cancer. Those 2 numbers are technically very wide apart because one of them is 3 times the other number. The reality is, though, those 2 numbers are damn near fucking identical. So I'm not super concerned about the immigrants in the United States. Not something that I think is the end-all be-all for shit here, especially when we live right now in a country where people can barely afford fucking groceries. I think the state of immigration is not doing a whole lot to change that in any way, shape, or form. And yet, that's the scapegoat that Donald Trump wants us to focus on. Hip, hip, hooray. That said, I do need to give a pitch for you before we hop out of here. If you value honest and fair political analysis that tries to make politics a little less miserable, then do me a favor, subscribe, and tell 3 friends what I am doing over here on the channel. Thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, and that is it for this one. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.